Okay, so we're going to start with this notion of time series. It is not review, but you may have run into this in the last homework assignment. Sales, let's say this is sales here, and I'm just making these numbers up. 203. I'm going to put an A right here, and I'll clarify that later. As a matter of fact, let me put another color right here. Let's say A, then 608, 424, and then 518. Now, suppose I have right here SMA3, let's say NA. Of course, I think we understand why that's the case. We have as you saw in the lab, when you have a SMA3, then I don't plot anything here, and I also don't plot anything here. So I'm going to say NA here. And I'm going to say 354.3, 428. And I'm going to put a B right here. And then finally, I'm going to say EWMA lambda equals 0.4. This is going to be 203. This is going to be 226.6. I'm sorry, 222. 222. 376.8. I'm going to put a C right here. Then I'm going to say 444.6. So I'm going to give you a minute to write those down. Because as you may have seen in the homework, so this is just like some data. This assumes we did a SMA3 and EWMA lambda equals 0.4. So some of these values are missing, A, B, C. Based on what you know about the algorithm and how to calculate the missing or the values, period, would you be able to solve, for example, for A and for B or for C, if you were given something like this, right? So we normally are just given the regular data column, which is like Y, which is sales here, right? Of course, this is by month here. I wonder if anybody can see, for example, how you would use information in this table. Let's just start with A. Does anybody kind of see how to find A given the data that you see here? It takes a little bit of analysis, a little bit of your understanding of the math in terms of how you calculate the values. Does anybody see how you calculate or find the missing value of A? Look carefully. That's an SMA3.
Professor, could you set up an equation where you would do 203 plus A plus 608 and then like kind of work backwards to find it, like based on how we know that it would be, the answer would be 354.3?
There you go. There you go. There you go. But see, watch this. Okay, if that's an SMA3, then isn't this true? That the first three values I would have to look at would be these values right here, right? And so then if it's a 5, you have to take the first 5. This is SMA3. So these three numbers added together, see, watch this. I'm gonna write this over here. 203 plus A plus 608. Now, what are you going to do to these over here? How do we normally calculate these over here? You add them up and then do what?
Divide them.
Divide by 3.
By 3.
And in this case, once you get finished, it would have to equal to what? In this case?
354.3.
There we go. See, even the dog says you're right. Right?
Sorry.
So, no, that's fine. So everybody see that? See, normally when we calculate these, we say this plus this plus this divided by 3 gives you that first number right here. Now, of course, there's nothing here and nothing here. And so when you take these and divide it by 3, you should equal that, right? Then you move it down, that should equal that, right? So forth and so on. Yes? All right, so everybody get your calculators. Now, when you get here, it's assuming that you know how to do the algebra. So this is like over 1. Now I can cross multiply. So I have 354.3 times 3. Let's see what that is. 354.3 times 3. 1062.9. And then over here you just have 203 plus A plus 608, right? So you like cross multiplying this and then cross multiplying this right here. All right. Is everybody okay with where this came from the initial part came from? So you take the first 3 values here, and once you get those values here, that gives you that answer in the middle of that window right there. All right, so let's see what this is. I want to add these two numbers together. 203 plus 608 equals, so this is 811 plus A equals 1062.9. Then subtract 811 from both sides, and then you have A equals, let's subtract this, 1062.9. So I'm really subtracting that from both sides, and I get 251.9. Everybody just see what happened? Okay, so what you're doing is the information is there, but you just gotta kind of think backwards or think in a different way to use this information over here maybe to get this from here. And I think that was one of your homework problems that you had to deal with, like finding the missing values there. So this is something that could be on the exam, right? Making sure you understand how one relates to the next. Okay, let's look at B. Let's look at B. B is a little easier, I think, because we know how to get these values here. Everybody set up on your paper how you think you would find B. I think this is a little simpler. Okay, so now we finished with A. I can erase this little thing here. Set up an equation or set up some kind of arrangement that you think would help you find the answer for B.
Christopher, could you scoot over so we could see the full board? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So everybody write down something for B and find it if you think you know how. Okay, I'm gonna have to erase this because I need some more space. So make sure you have that. Tatiana, any idea about how you think you would find B? Any idea?
I did the equation 608 plus 424 plus 578 divided by 3.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that's a 518, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, so yeah, the 518.
Okay, so 608 plus 424 plus 518 divided by 3. Now, why did you choose those numbers right here on top? How did you know?
Because, well, we did it with the first thing that we just went over. We have to use the 3 numbers and then divide by 3 to get the next columns, which would be B.
Very good, very good. So these 3 right here that we started off with gives you that one. Then you take that same window, move it down 1, and then those 3 give you that one. And then you move it down one more time. See how these 3 numbers give you that middle one right there? So very good, very good, very good. So everybody go ahead and do that, finish that, see what you get. And I guess 1 decimal place should be fine if you have any. Okay. Let's see, I'm getting, just in interest of time, let me know if you got the same thing. 516.7. Is that what you're getting? I think that's coming out right. Okay. All right, good. Okay. All right. Now finally, so any question on this? This is more straightforward. This is what we're more used to, right? But there's nothing that says you shouldn't know how to go back to get the original one here. C may be a little bit more difficult, but I think you know how to do C. I think you know how to do C. Look at C. Remember the EWMA, lambda equals 0.4. Now remember, that column, those entries strictly come from what's going on over there and the original column, the sales column. Okay, so this column right here, SMA, doesn't have anything to do with that column. So everybody just take a stab at it. Yeah, so everybody take a stab at setting up C. Remember how to calculate C, where it comes from, and what lambdas you use. This may be a little bit more challenging. But just kind of think about it. See if you can set up the equation for that. Sophia, do you think you know how to at least set up the equation that will help you find C?
Still working on it, Professor. I'm a little bit confused.
Okay, all right, no problem. I just want to make sure everybody's, let's see. I don't know, Michael, any idea at least how to set it up? How to, like, what relates to what?
Would it be like 354.3 plus 428 divided by 2?
Not quite, because see, remember the EWMA column, we did EWMA, we got these values, so it's going to have a 0.4 in it, because that lambda is 0.4, and it's going to relate this column, this column here to this column right there. I mean, that's good, though. We're thinking. So in other words, how do I calculate any EWMA column? I gotta use something over here and something over here. All right, we're getting there. And anybody think they know what relates? Like we're gonna have to have a 0.4, then we're gonna have a 1 minus lambda somewhere. Yeah, who is this? Is this Rose?
Yeah, my equation was 0.4 times 424 plus 0.6 times 3768.
Plus 0.6 times what?
The 3760.8.
Okay. Can you explain that just for a second? Like, where did those come from?
So I just used the lambda, the 0.4, and then you multiply that times the sales for the corresponding month.
Okay.
And then you do 1 minus lambda to get the 0.6.
Mm-hmm.
And then you multiply that times the previous month in the EWMA column.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. Someone say C equals this. Yeah, that's exactly right. See, when we calculate the values for the EWMA over here, remember how the window is only of size 2. You're only looking at 2 numbers in terms of the data. But remember, we calculate values in this column using the original data column on the same level and multiply it by lambda. And then you add 1 minus lambda times the value in the EWMA column that you're trying to find. So remember, these values here we're going to use these to calculate the next one in that same particular column there. That's very good. Very good, Rose. Very good. In other words, lambda is 0.4. So I'm going to say 0.4 times this plus 1 minus 0.4 times this thing right here. And that'll give us that value right there. Okay. So let's see, what does this come up to be? All right, so I'm getting, and let me know if you get something different, 473 point, well, I guess if you're gonna, I guess it really would have to be 474, because I was gonna say 473.9, but I think we have to round it up to that 4 there. Okay, so we have that. So just be aware that if you see something like this, is well within your mathematical power to calculate it. You just have to kind of think about how one value relates to the other values that you're given in the chart there. Yes.
Can you show like how you got that number? Because I got 395.7, and I think I did the equation right.
I also
Oh,
got the 300 number that Michael got.
oh, I think I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did you guys get 3? What did you get? What did you get? What did you end up getting, Michael? I think this is incorrect.
395.7.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. I was looking at something else. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Did you guys get the other value for B, the 516.7? I think that was correct. I think. Okay. Yeah. So sorry about that. That was my bad. My bad. What I was looking at was going to be D, and it's not up here. If I ask you to, if I put a D up here, and I say D, predict EWMA sales, predict EWMA sales for June, right? So we went over how to predict with EWMA as well. So notice that June is one time point beyond May or after May. So using whatever we talked about last time in terms of prediction, see what you get for this answer here. So everybody should be okay with C. Now D is here, predict EWMA sales for June, and let me know what you come up with. Predict. So this right here is smoothing what we just did. Now I want you to predict one time point outside of June. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that.
I was just like, did I do something wrong?
No, you're fine. So let's see. When it comes to prediction, let's see. J1, any idea? You remember how to predict using EWMA based on what we talked about the last time? Like how would you do that? J1, do you remember? Are you here? Or let's see, Megan, you remember how to predict?
Don't you take the 0.4 and then the last number for May, and then those will go in the parentheses, and then you add it to the 0.06, and then take the last number in the EWMA column, the 444.6.
Okay, very good. So check what to write. So D equals what now? How would you write it?
Parentheses 0.4. And then the other parentheses 518. And then add it to 0.6 parentheses. 0.6, and then the other parentheses, and then 444.6.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Because see, when we're predicting now, what we're going to do is use this last value here and that last value there, along with the lambdas and the 1 minus lambdas to get us the answer. And now I think this is what I wrote the last time, 473.96 or 474. Okay. Very good. Very good. Very good. Okay. So, this is just something to kind of think about when you're going about doing that stuff. All right. So just make sure we're okay with that. Any other questions regarding that? So I think the homework had you doing something like this, and you may have been looking at it like, what in the world is this talking about? This is all it was getting at. I don't think I would ask you to do this for, well, maybe extra credit if you throw in that WMA column, because see, that has so many different fractions along with it. But it's the same idea. It's the same idea. Just use the fractions and just sort of go from there. But I don't think I'll ask that on the regular part of the exam, because that WMA can be a little harried.